No. I have a quick question. Can we have the slide, please? First slide. Next one. How many of you plan to start a new business in the near future? From the audience. I see a very small group here. Okay, that's encouraging. At least at the end of the speech, maybe we will have a little better percentage, because I'm going to lay you some of the facts and learnings and observations from my life of over 20 years in system. Use the next 15 minutes to give you a quick dump on what it is now to become an entrepreneur. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. Congratulations first, because you are actually born in the right place and the right time. India is just witnessing the beginning of what I call as an entrepreneurial era. So, just 5 years ago, this kind of a topic there was no request, there was not much audience either for this. But a lot of things have changed in the last, I would say 10 to 15 years. What has actually changed? What is the requirement for entrepreneurs to be successful? If you look back the recent economic history of India, 1992, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was the finance minister at that time, did something remarkable. He was actually forced to do something. He opened up the company and started what is known as liberalization, which is a slow process which is still continuing. Even this year there were some liberalization, if you have noticed. But then, before that, actually the industries were under government control. The only industry which was actually which the government did not know how to control, was the IT industry, which was growing rapidly in the first era. So then after the liberalization, the market forces came into play. The government stopped significant controls on many of the industries, and then the floodgates opened for entrepreneurs, so to say. So it was IT industry which had a head start, then it was the internet, the telecom, the mobile, and you have witnessed all of this. But in the beginning of this millennium, this kind of an explosive growth spread to every other significant sector of the economy, the local economy, be it education, healthcare. When I went to college, there were 7 engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu. So today there are 700 plus, right? So it was a Cambrian explosion of thought happening in every other sector: education, healthcare, retail, infrastructure, and quite a bit of other segments. There are some segments which are still under control of the government. So which means, hundreds of enterprising men and women grabbed this opportunity, set up businesses, and mind you, these people did not have significant business legacy. They were not born into business families, but they could innovate, they could start new businesses given the opportunity. The single answer to the question of what has changed is the market. India is a huge market, which is pretty much unparalleled, I would say. The only country which has a very large domestic market is probably the US, and every other country in the world has very, very tightly controlled or very small market. So you are actually born at a very right time, at the right era to start companies. But it's not an easy job. Let me explain. So it all starts with an idea. Most of the entrepreneur fable stories come up with idea. Does anyone know why? What was the Facebook's idea when it started? Facebook was started to date girls in the campus by Mark Zuckerberg. So that was the principal motivation for starting Facebook, right? So most of the ideas come from personal pain points of the founders. Closer home, company by name Redbus, I'm sure you are familiar of it, which sells bus tickets on the internet, was started because of the pain point of the founder, who couldn't find it easy to book a ticket from Bangalore to Hyderabad for a Diwali vacation, right? The personal pain point is one of the biggest drivers of many businesses. And then today students, in this entrepreneurial era, there are a lot of students and senior executives are continuously thinking of ideas. So for example, for senior executives, it may be because they have hit a ceiling in their organization, or they are finding a very interesting market opportunity which their organization is not supporting. So that becomes an idea. So the idea kind of grows in you beyond a point, and at some point in time it starts possessing you. When from the stage you are processing the idea, it transforms into your situation where the idea possesses you, and that's when you become an entrepreneur, not when you are switching jobs or not when you are idle. So how do you do ideation? I think there is a speaker coming up on innovation, so I won't get deeper into it. And ideas come through inspiration, through reading books, through a variety of personal life experiences. But let the idea be big and bold. Don't start with a small idea. I'm going to be at another small company. It's not worth your while typically to start a very, very small business. Businesses start small, but the business's end point should be a very big and bold idea. Then it is worth the entrepreneurship, where you can make a social impact, you can create wealth, you can create employment, you can make a mark in the society. So let the idea be big and bold, and don't confuse self-employment kind of an idea with a true entrepreneurial big bang ideas. Even if it is self-employment kind of an idea, let it be a means to an end of pursuing a very big goal. That's where you can make a big difference. When do you start a company? There is no single answer. Again, from my 20 years of experience, I personally was a manager, then went through a process of starting a company, a second, and probably in the process of starting a third. But due to media overdose, again, everybody and their uncle, there's a good percentage of people are thinking they have an idea, they will, at some day, it will become a business. As I said, it's very different. The idea should possess you. That is the time for you to become an entrepreneur. The chances of you being success is very high. If it means you have to wait for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it is still worth the wait, gaining experience in the corporate sector. So after the idea, you move to a team. Immediately after the idea is you go and tell your friend, you go and tell your colleague. Probably you shouldn't tell your spouse that you have this idea, you'll get shot down. And you kind of start validating it, you kind of start getting acceptance to the idea, which is very difficult, honestly. Sometimes putting together a team itself is very difficult, and very often we see groups of people who have worked together in the same company move out. So there it is probably a better ecosystem to find co-founders. So the certain thumb rules from my learning is form a team of 2 to 4 people, which is ideal. And again, let me caution you, all these thumb rules are just thumb rules. Entrepreneurs are successful because they don't defy to conventions, defy to rules, but don't stretch it to breaking laws as well. So some of the observations is there should be a clear leader from among the founding team. You had an idea, you could find some friends who are happy to work with you, or you join a part of the team, but define a leader, get together. As I said, there are hundreds of entrepreneurs who have been successful. There are a lot of other people who have experienced entrepreneurships. So put together as potential board members or advisors in your team who are not full-time, but they help you from outside. Typically the teams bring in very, very special skills to the table. That's why you are unique, your products are unique, you can differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Again, entrepreneurship is a very flat world. Your IQ does not count. Your education does not count. Many of the successful entrepreneurs didn't complete their education. Your college does not count either. You don't need to be an IIT, IIM or a Harvard to be a successful entrepreneur. But what has counted, if you go back and analyze the successful entrepreneurs, what has really counted is their determination, their flexibility, their openness to new ideas. They're not stuck to their own ideas. In fact, many companies, when they eventually execute the ideas, you find them they are very different from the original idea where they started off with. It's a big teamwork there, so you need to find team members with whom you can build a chemistry and who serve with you for a long time. Apollo Hospital was built because there was a very good team which stuck together for a long time. And a bit of luck and bit of luck also helps, so nobody has really, entrepreneurship is not science. The timing is something which you don't know. Before Red Bus, there were, at least I know, a dozen companies who tried this bus reservation system, but they didn't take off because the internet penetration was not taking off at that time. They were a little too early for the market. So moving on from the team, after you form the team, you form a business case. Can you move this? Yeah. Yeah, you have to develop a business case, which is, business case, plan, or a model. So is there a business around it? You may find an idea, but is there a business around it? Are there going to be real customers? So you have to do the research, directly talking to the customers or talking to some people who know the business lines, and understand the feasibility of it. Make a financial model, whether it will work. If you do a financial model, you will get an idea whether it is going to work financially or not. And in any case, most of the business plans consist of series of assumptions, which is the weak link. One assumption fails, the whole model fails. So you have to have a risk management plan. What if it fails? That's where the flexibility and changes of idea happens. When you really market test it, a lot of these ideas get broken. A lot of your assumptions get challenged in the real marketplace. Cash flow is very important, but it is not very, it depends on the business model. Again, there are business models which will not make profit for 10 years. So they get funded by venture capitalists or some other form. Typically, venture capitalists fund business models which don't immediately make profit, but they make profit over a longer period of time. But there are enough business models which will make quick profits in the first 2-3 years itself. That's the those are the models which are where you can raise short-term funding or medium-term funding from different kinds of investors. So that brings me to the funding, which is again a very long and big topic. But the typical source of funding for the first-generation entrepreneur, for a startup entrepreneur at a grassroots level, is the founders, the family, and their friends, which is called the 3 Fs, the founders, family, and the friends. But today their funding options are very, very wide open. Today there are angel groups, organized angel investors who are typically ex-entrepreneurs who are willing to invest in startup companies when they like the idea or like the person. There are incubators which are happy to help you apart from money, also with a lot of management inputs. And then there are VCs and corporates. In fact, sometimes it's easy to go after customers and get revenues from the customers to fund yourself, instead of chasing investors, which also involves a lot of energy. So this is my last slide. So I must caution you, the grass is not green here. It is not greener. Entrepreneurship is very risky. 95% of the companies or ideas don't take off. Companies fail. So you have to be lucky to be on the 5% or less than 5% which become successful or which sustain. And in the Indian context, it's even longer. It takes about 3 years to find your feet, unless you are extremely lucky to hit the groove right off. My typical experience is that first 3 years is a big valley of death. And you have to be prepared to give yourself 3 years. Even if you work for 10 years and you say, I want to start something, don't start something if you can't give 3 years of your life, and you have to assume that all your assumptions are going to go wrong. So it's not worth it. It takes a lot of time to get going. At the end of the day, it's a very enthralling journey, I would say, entrepreneurship. The journey itself is as enjoyable, even if you didn't reach the destination. So it's certainly worth a try. And I would advise, if anybody who dreams to do something in the entrepreneurship phase, read some very inspiring books like the biography of Steve Jobs, or even better, Richard Branson's autobiography. These are all extreme entrepreneurs. Actually, most of the entrepreneurs, if you really look, are not normal persons. They have dyslexia, they have learning disability, they have obsessive compulsive disorder, a whole lot of differently abled people, so to say. So that brings me to the end. And